Welcome to West Virginia Uncommon Place. Today, I have with me a special guest. His name is Gary Pratt, and I'm your host, like always, JR from West Virginia. And Gary Pratt has a special message, and he has something that is an amazing gift, and that's music. Music is something that warms the soul and tickles the fancy of so many people. So, Gary, please introduce yourself, let everybody know where you're from, and then the major thing that everybody wants to know: who is Gary Pratt?
Hey, hello everybody. Like I said, my name's Gary Pratt, and I'm a country singer and a songwriter from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been singing a very long time since I was a kid, and I probably could. They tell me I could dance before I could even speak. So music's been in my blood, and it's just part of me. It's part of who I am as a being, and God put that music in me, and the joy for music. And I've done all kinds of music, but country music's where my heart is. I have a new album out right now. It's called Something Worth Remembering. It's an album that I dedicated to my brother, who I lost about 3 years ago, and I wanted to do something in memory of him. So that's why we did this new album. I've been writing and singing and producing shows since I've been about 12 years old. In fact, I used to have the neighborhood kids and relatives come and do shows in our backyard, and we'd get all the parents together, and they'd bring meals and they'd see our shows. And of course, we charged them to come see it, even though they brought their own meals. And I've been producing shows too since I was that age. I even used to have the kids sign a contract that they would get to all the practices and everything like that. So I've been doing this a long time. This past year has been a whirlwind. I'm with MTS Records, MTS Management, Michael Stover. Actually, he doesn't live too far from me. And he has been putting my music out all over the world. And I am just so grateful for that. I've recorded in Pittsburgh. I've recorded in Nashville. I lived in Nashville for a while. I played all the clubs and venues in the Nashville area. Also have played the Tennessee State Fair and the Fan Fair down in Nashville. And it was an experience to live there. I got a little bit discouraged, and I moved back to Pittsburgh after college, and I sort of quit music for a while. And that's when I found out that music's just part of me. I can't live without it. I can't live without singing all the time and writing all the time. It's just part of who I am. In the Pittsburgh area, I have opened up for the likes of people like Crystal Gayle, some of the older singers, Dwight Yoakam, Crystal Gayle, Ronnie Mills, Lori Morgan, Pam Tillis, Travis Tritt, just to name a couple of people that I have opened up for. So I've learned a lot from them too, and have the audience as part of the show, especially Pam Tillis and Dwight Yoakam. They're real, and Neil McCoy too. They get their audience involved in their show. That's what I like to do too. So that's a little bit about me. I don't know. I'm sure you have other questions I can go on about, but I can just keep rambling.
Okay, so I want to go back in time, because one thing about being a musician and being someone that composes music, you have an inspiration. What was the very first musical inspiration? Because in people's life, some people say that it was a grandfather, grandmother, someone they just heard singing along the road. Growing up in Pittsburgh, you got a lot of steel, you got coal, you got a lot of, because it's just like West Virginia to a certain degree, you got a lot of folklore music, a lot of different type of country that you don't necessarily hear outside of the hollers and the places that you come from. So what was the first musical inspiration for you?
In my house, my dad always listened to country music. Every time we got together, we had country music playing. And I really think the first time I realized that I wanted to be in a band and I wanted to perform was when our family went to a picnic, and my cousin, Floyd was his name. He played drums in a band. And I sat there and watched that band, probably the whole party and picnic, whatever it was. I know all the other kids were out running around playing ball or doing something, but I was stuck on watching that band. And when we left there, I told my parents, when I grow up, I'm going to be in a band. And it just it inspired me just to do that. And my parents were really helpful in getting my first band set up. I was probably 15, 16 years old, and they contacted musicians, which were a lot older than I was. They were like 21 or over. And that gave me the opportunity to play in some venues that I never would have played in if I was just playing with a bunch of, 16-year-old kids. And it gave me experience and their experience that they had already had and taught me too. So I believe it was sitting in that garage watching my cousin play drums that really set me on fire. So
your cousin got you inspired by this composition. You get over to a point where you start composing songs. So what was the first song that you wrote, and how do you feel about that song now?
I think the first song I ever wrote was called "I'm Going to Nashville." Nashville, Tennessee. And when I look back on that song, it's not the greatest song, but it gave me a direction. It gave me a goal. So yeah, it's called "I'm Going to Nashville, Tennessee." That was the first song I ever wrote. And I went, and I came back.
The question I want to ask you about Nashville. People go to Nashville just like people go to California to seek success in acting. And then obviously in Nashville, Grand Ole Opry, places like that. You go there, and I've been in Nashville quite a bit. It's an area you go to so that you can thrive in country music. Just like if you went to Austin, Texas, and was trying to become a rock star in this day and age. What were the highs and lows of going to Nashville? Like, what was disappointment, and what was something that really inspired you while you were there?
Okay, well, first of all, every time I go to Nashville, even now, it's something about just being there that gets your creative juices flowing. Last time I was there, I was writing songs all the time, and I was so excited about recording up there by Music Row. But it gives you this vibe, which I don't know, maybe other people don't feel this way, but I get this vibe when I'm there that it's just all music, and it gets within me, and I just start, I don't know, getting motivated, put it that way. But when I was living there, like I said, you played a lot of different places, which was great. And you met a lot of people. Everyone's doing the same thing, which is a benefit and also not a benefit because there's a lot of good competition there. And everybody's good. Everybody's doing the same thing, they got a real job, and then they're trying to do the music too. And then you got your college kids that are in college, and they're also doing the music on the side. So everybody's doing music in Nashville. They're from all over the world, and they go to Nashville to get discovered. So you definitely want to play, you want to sing, you want to be, seen. The downside of that is that a lot of the clubs, I would say most all clubs, expect you to play for free. And, of course, you can't make money like that. So you really can't make a living if you're not like an up and coming from like one of the major record companies there on Music Row. So you're playing for free. And I don't want to give Nashville a bad name or a bad rap because you learn a lot there. But the downside is you're playing for free, and there are clubs, and there's people that will take advantage of you. And there's a lot of ripoff artists down there that they know your dream, and they'll take advantage of you, of course. So just like anywhere, just like you said in LA or whatever, Hollywood, when they'll take advantage. There are people that will take advantage of you. So that's the downside. You just got to be wise. But nowadays, I don't believe you really have to be in Nashville to be heard with technology today and like the indie market and just how so many more people can see you without being in that spotlight in Nashville. So you got your ups and downs, you got your changes since I've been there too.
Now, I want to get into a deep rooted question because you're from out the mountains. Your mountains, if I'm correctly thinking, are the Allegheny. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
So what inside of your part of Appalachia inspired your music? Because I say this, I'm originally from a town in Virginia called Lynchburg, Virginia. So we're inside the Blue Ridge Mountains. So a lot of the music that comes out there is really heavy, guitar driven. Not so much drums or anything like that, but it's like if you play a bass or something like that in country, which is a rarity in some areas, our music has a different type of twang to it. If that's a best way to put it. So you're part of Appalachia. How did that influence your music?
Well, it's not really Appalachia. I guess we're closer to the city of Pittsburgh than we are like to the mountains. I did grow up in a coal mining town. Most of our music here is sort of mainstream, but you do have, some of your string bands, like you're talking about, the bass that sits on the floor. And I love that kind of music. There is a lot of bluegrass around here also. I am basically more into the mainstream country music, not so much of like the sort of the rap type that's out right now, but more of like Garth Brooks type of thing or Justin Moore that's out right now. Those are some of my favorite people. So they're more mainstream than they are something a little bit different. But I do love this. I would love to do an album with just like all string band. I love that sound. But like around here, like I said, I'm more closer to the city than I am out in like the mountains somewhere. But
Okay.
and that's what we do here.
Okay. Now let's get into this album real quick. Something worth remembering. You had a brother that passed away, and this is the part of the show that makes you more personable and builds more character, and it gives people like a sense of when I take a dive into Gary Pratt's new album, I'm going to know more about it before I even get to the music. So you had a brother pass away, and in the last 3 years or so, all kinds of complications lead to people passing away in quick circumstances. So
correct.
Initially, when you started doing this album, was it initially based on what happened to your brother, or did it kind of filter over into your brother after he passed away?
Well, I was actually recording a Christmas album at Tonic Studios with the same producer that recorded, that helped me with Something Worth Remembering. And while I was recording the Christmas album, I got the idea that I should do something for my brother. My brother had already passed away, and I just got this idea. So we ended up, I ended up writing some songs for the album. I ended up getting my producer got me some songs from well-known writers in Nashville. We had Tony Arata, who wrote the dance for Garth Brooks, actually wrote the title song for the album. And when he gave me the go-ahead to do his song, Something Worth Remembering, it was an honor, and it actually pulled the whole album together. But like I said, I got the idea when I was already in the studio, and then we just started from there. So we recorded probably good 24 songs because we did the Christmas album and this album at the same time. But doing this album, I'll explain a little bit about the album. I was doing or writing most of the songs and getting some songs from other people. And as I was listening to all the songs, I liked the way they sounded. I liked the musician on it, musicians, but most of the music was done by Adam Ernest, who is a fantastic. I think he's about 27 years old. He did most of all the music on the album. But I was listening to all the songs. I liked them, but it wasn't making sense. The album was not making sense to me as far as how can I dedicate this to my brother when it's not, something was missing. When my producer, he knew how I was feeling, and he brought in Something Worth Remembering by Tony. And when I heard that song, I knew it was like the key, the glue that put the whole album together. I knew exactly what song was going to be first and what song was going to be last. Also, by doing this album, I found my purpose in music. A lot of times I was singing or writing and it was just a song. But now I have a message when I'm on stage that, just like with my brother passing away, you never know when someone will be gone out of your life. Maybe it's someone you truly love, so make sure you tell them you love them. If you're having an argument with someone that you truly care about, even a sibling or whatever, don't go to bed like that angry, even with someone you're dating or your wife or husband or whatever, your kids, because you don't know if that next day is going to happen. And my brother passed away in his sleep. And, when he went to bed that night, he told my nephew, he said, "I'll see you in the morning." Well, he didn't get to see him in the morning. That's a message that I have to get out there when I'm on stage. And I always do some type of a religious song too, which eventually I'll probably do some kind of Christian album. But it gave me a direction with my music and a message to tell people when I'm on stage and how to be good to other people. And even if you make mistakes in life, which we all do, you can change your life around. I know that for a fact. I know that from a lot of people that are friends of mine. We all make mistakes and we all grow up and we see things different ways. Talking about my dad just passed away, and that was just 2 weeks ago. And it's hard for our whole family because he was such an incredible man and talented, and he played music also. And he didn't start playing guitar till he was about 50, and he got really good at it. And I always wanted him to get up on stage with me, but he never did it. But that was his choice, But I had time to say goodbye to him because we found out in October that he had cancer and it was aggressive, and I was there to help take care of him. I was there to talk to him. Me and him talked so much, and I'm so grateful that I had that time to say goodbye, but you don't always have that. And I try to bring this personal side of me into my shows because I think so many people can relate to this, especially now with the COVID, and there seems to be so many more deaths now. And I think a lot of people will relate to that, and they can see what kind of person that I am and what kind of person I want to be and how I want to treat other people. And that is the main focus, getting someone through the day if they're going through a rough time too. You can change, and you got to believe in yourself. And that's what I try to put across, not only with my music, but taking bad situations and turn them into good situations, always looking at the brighter side of different things, just like with my dad passing. I'm grateful that I had time to say goodbye. Some people don't have that. And I've had both. I couldn't say goodbye, and now I have said goodbye. So that's sort of where I'm coming from with my music and how this album has changed me. And the album is all about life. It's about jumping in and not being afraid to go after your dreams, which I was at one time. I was afraid to leave home, living in a small town, and then all of a sudden I'm in this big city, and I never experienced that before, So the more uncomfortable you feel about something, you got to get out of your box and push yourself. If you're nervous about doing something, keep doing it because you're going to grow. So these are all the things that go through my head as doing music now. Before I had no direction.
Okay. Now, let's jump into this playlist because I heard you put a title of a song out there. Me and my co-host Stacy, we had a great amount of time to listen to everything and hear it. The tracks that really stuck with us as a couple: "To Find Us,"
yes,
"When It's Our Love That's Lost," and like I said, we're West Virginia, so a song you can drink a beer to. But let's go back to the very beginning. The very first track.
Okay.
Got to jump in. Tell us the inspiration of that.
Got to jump in. That came from me going back and looking back in my past of how I was afraid to go for my dreams. I was sort of a backward person. I was shy when I was a kid and stuff. And now I look back and I'm thinking, I could have been so much further if I wouldn't have been so afraid to go up and talk to someone or anything like that, or ask a girl out or whatever. But that song is, you go, don't be afraid. You only live once in your life. So if you have a dream, if you have something that you want to go for, if you want to go to college, maybe no one in your family ever went to college and you're afraid to do that. Well, if you want to do that, you do that. It's your life. So that's where that song came about, is you got to look at yourself and know what you want in your life and not be afraid to go for your dreams or what you want out of life.
And then the next track we'll lead into is "Before Someone Gets Hurt." That's one that struck a chord with me. Stacy liked it, but it was the stuff that I had before me, because me and my co-hosts were boyfriend and girlfriend. But in my previous relationships, that song could have helped me if I had it 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's one of the songs, you look back and you say, hey, why didn't I do that? Because I knew it wasn't going to work out. It's, about a relationship that you feel like you're not ready for, especially if you're younger and you want to go out and party and you want to have fun with your friends, and you're not ready for a relationship, and the other partner or the other person they want more out of the relationship, and it's better to end that relationship than to keep going on when you know you're going to hurt someone. You don't want to do that. If the relationship was meant to be, it'll come back. But yeah, that's what that song's about. And I love that song. That's my mom's favorite song. So she likes the way I sound on that song. But it's about doing the right thing in life.
Okay. And like I say, it struck a chord with me because I was like, this is what I needed. This was the manuscript I would have needed 10 years ago. It would have saved some hearts and it would have saved me from getting hurt. Moving on
that too.
Yeah, moving on to track number 3. Sounds like whiskey to me.
Oh, that's a fun song. When I write songs, sometimes I hear somebody say something and I listen. I always listen to what people are saying. And sometimes they have the best hooks or the best ideas for a song. I was at a picnic and it got real quiet. I was actually singing at this picnic. It got real quiet and I heard this older lady. She just said real loud, "That sounds like whiskey to me." And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go home and write that song. So I wrote it down right away. And I don't think it took me very long. I think I got home and started writing and it took me a couple of days and I wrote that song. And that's how that song came about. And I do that a lot. I listen to what people are saying. I love that song.
And then we're going into the 4th track. When it's our love that's lost.
That is a very true story. That's actually the song I have out right now, which is doing really well on the major charts too. So I'm so proud of that song. And I wrote that song. I had no co-writers or anything on that song. And Michael Stover from MTS, we were deciding which song to release next as a single, and we picked that. And I'm so glad we did. It shows a lot of different vocal ability that I have and some notes I can hit, and having a ballad. Like I love doing ballads, and that's really a true song that came from the heart when, I thought I was losing someone, and just, it's like your love's lost. It's out there somewhere, but you just don't know where it's at. It also has a double meaning that our love could be lost and we won't be together anymore. But of course, they're all my babies. So I'm going to say they're all my favorite songs. But
right.
Yeah.
And on that note, like I definitely encourage the audience to go listen to this. And I'm not going to go too much deeper into any more tracks, but I want to do this one because this one was like, To Find Us was the track like that. Just
yeah, I'm so glad you picked that song. I love this way that I wrote that song, and I love doing duets. But I have a girl singer that's always with me. Her name's Kate Zoller. Such a wonderful person too. We're becoming really good friends. But on the album, I went to Nashville and recorded at Omni with a girl named Savannah Nider, who's also on the MTS Records. So Kate wasn't on. I didn't actually know Kate then, but Savannah does such a wonderful job. And I wanted to have somebody else on the album from MTS. So I did invite Savannah, and I went down to Nashville. It was right when COVID was pretty rampant out there, and Nashville was like a ghost town when I was there. But I got to meet Savannah for the first time, and me and my producer drove down, and we did that song. And I mean, it's a true song. And a lot of my songs too have the mention of God or some kind of prayer in it somewhere. Some of them, and this song here does, because it's like God put us together because we both had broken hearts. You think you're in love with someone and they break your heart, and that's the guy's side, and then the girl's going through the same situation. Her heart was broken, and then they find out that God had that happen because that wasn't who they were supposed to be with the rest of their life. And he had to lose her, she had to lose him to find us. To find the relationship that's going on now. And it's more of a God-given song, and that's one of my favorites too. But I love the doing duets, and that song has a special place in my heart. I just think it's one of the best songs I ever wrote.
And I will give you your kudos and give you your flowers. That song, like it reached us. Like we were just out on our porch because, like I said, we're just normal country living and playing it. We played through the computer sometimes, and then we have outdoor speakers. and it just played through our outdoor speakers, and it was just like an experience. Like it stopped us. And if something stops me, because life is so fast, like that just stopped us. And Stacy is one that listens for the content. I listen for melodies and I listen for arrangement. The content in that song, I wish she was here with me right now. It just touched her in a way. We were like, if we had to pick a song to be our song that we would advertise to get everyone around your music, that will be the song that we'll just go out there with and just take out in the world and pass it along.
Well, you're giving me goosebumps. You're giving me goosebumps right now. Yeah, I thank you so much. I appreciate that. A little story about that song. When I gave it to my producer to listen to, he was going through a breakup with his long-term partner for like 10 years. And him and her were on the brink, and he ended up breaking up with her a few months before I brought the song to him. And he had met a new girl, and actually they're going to get married now, which is really cool. But he is so happy now. But that became their song once, because they were dating each other and they heard that song and they say, hey, that's us. And that hit a chord with him. So there's a lot of people that it would, but it is a fantastic song. And I appreciate your compliments and very much. And that validates my feelings toward it. Thank you. Okay.
And most definitely, I hope in the near future that becomes someone's wedding song. Like that's the song that brings somebody together. A guy that's living over in West Mifflin or something, he meets his lady in the town of Pittsburgh, or even down at, what was the place in Pittsburgh that's nice? It's Kennywood. If they're down at Kennywood and their love's lost, they meet at Kennywood and see each other again, and this song sparks their life. I hope that someone has a moment with this song and you get to hear
I hope so. I hope so. The first line of that song is, I know exactly how you felt when he told you to go to hell. And I think that is just a grabber. I like writing songs that the first line is so important to me. But that is one that it should grab you if you don't hear anything else in that song. It's like, that's pretty strong.
And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, we'll move over to another part of the show. How can fans get in contact with you? Like, what is the best means that if a fan, they get attached to a song and they personally want to reach out to you? Because in this day and age, everybody's accessible by the internet or this or that.
Oh, yeah, right. The best way is to go on my webpage, www.garyprattmusic.com, because you'll find my email address. You'll find all the addresses for like Facebook and Twitter and all that type of media sites, but internet sites. But that's the best way, because you'll get a phone number on. You can call me too. You'll call me at my real job also, because I have another business, but I'll answer. Contact me by email, GaryPrattMusic@AOL.com. Your comments, any kind of questions. If you need advice, if I have advice to give you, I possibly could musically. And yeah, I appreciate any type of contact with people that I can help, or they can help me, or they just want to say hello. Hey, I like your music. But go into my website again, GaryPrattMusic.com. You'll get all the media sites. You'll get interviews. This interview will probably be on there. All the reviews on the album and the songs, different videos and lyric videos and performance videos, a schedule where I'm going to be at. It's all there.
Okay. Now, the last part of this show, something that we do is we give a shout out, or we give a big thank you to the people or the person that has helped you along the way. Because everyone has talent and success, but to hone your talent and success, you've got to get a feeling of approval from someone, some type of gratification, something that makes you want to keep going. So, Gary, you are on the spot right now. I need you to take this moment and let the audience know whom or whoever has helped you along your way, or who has, kept you on a great path to complete this amazing music that you have out here.
Yeah, first of all, my parents have always been number one. They've always helped me. But as far as professional wise, all the bands that I've been in, like I said before, but right now, Brian Cole, my producer, Doug Casper from Tonic Studios, the engineer, Brian Ernest, who's actually doing very well in Nashville right now. And those three people, and Michael Stover from MTS Records. If Mike is not, this album has made my life completely different. I have interviews all over the world, and it's all because of MTS Records and the people that I have on this album. Because this album is the one that's people are listening to. I've done some other ones. Of course, I didn't have all this backing from this team, and these people are. I just have to thank them because I wouldn't be here talking to you right now if it wasn't for them. So, I'm so grateful that, God has brought them into my life. And what's so cool about it is like, we're like friends now. I knew Doug from before, but I did not know my producer. I didn't know Michael. My producer introduced me to Michael, and Michael took me on as an artist. And these people are the ones that I really have to thank. And I also have to thank a group of people here in the Pittsburgh area. They're called the Kick It Up Dancers, and they have become such great friends of mine. It's about 20 dancers that go wherever I'm at around this area. They will be there, and they will be doing their line dances. And sometimes I bring them up on stage with me and stuff too. But yeah, those are the most important people that have really gotten my music out there and this album. So, I'm just so thankful to all of that.
Okay. And Gary, I want to thank you for coming on the show because this show is actually going to be the start of a new music series that I'm going to be doing to introduce artists. Because the thing is that you already have an introduction. You're already famous out here. But the thing is that you are local to West Virginia. And I know you're in Pennsylvania, yes. But West Virginia, we love country music. We love music in general. And to have you on this show, and for the people of West Virginia, the people up there at the top near Wheeling, and everybody in Washington, Pennsylvania, it's kind of close knit when you're up at the top of West Virginia. So, as an extension, you're West Virginian honorary. So I want to extend that to you. And this thing here, a quick little testament. It takes a lot to be an artist and to strive for a brand of success that not everybody's guaranteed, and you're going to definitely be guaranteed that success and more. You, your management team, everybody that's involved with you that I have met outside of you today has a positive attitude, they have great abilities in how they market and what they do. And that's one thing I want to tell you, because as an artist, you never get to hear about the middle process. Your management group is one of the best groups that I have dealt with in my 3.5 years of podcasting. I want to tell you, like, the way that they pitch and the way that they do what they do, they make every single one of their artists a priority.
Yes, they do.
So MTS management, definitely keep doing what you're doing. And I am JR from West Virginia and Commonplace, and this is Gary Pratt. He's with me. We are going to definitely be signing off of this episode. But the one lasting effect that I want people to have here is this. Something Worth Remembering is an album that does more than just put you in a place. It does more than stop a moment of time in your life. It gets into your life. This album has numerous tracks across it that will tickle every range of emotion you have, and it will, and it will make you feel. And that is the hardest thing to do in music. As a musician, it's hard for you to know if your music is going to make someone feel. People can give you a light reaction, but you have songs that make people feel. And when you can do that, that makes you a true inspiration. That's more than being an influencer. That's more than being a trendsetter or a follower or just doing anything like that. So that right there is what I want you to take from this and just keep going with that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's where I want to be. That's where I'm going. Yep, you're right.
All right. So once again, everybody, this is JR from West Virginia and Commonplace. We're signing off. In the show notes, you will be able to find everything about Gary Pratt, on where you can greet him on social media and everything like that. All that stuff will be provided by his management inside the show notes. So when this show airs, you will be able to find out everything about him. And everybody, I'm gone.